Next, we have Dr. Ekjot Saini from Penn State University, who is going to be talking about child sleep, family context, and the transition to schooling. So, welcome, Ekjot. Nice to see you.
Thank you, Natalie. It's great to be here. Let me see if I can slides. Can everybody see them?
We can. Great.
Okay,
Thank you.
great. And just like Natalie said, I'm Ekjot Saini. I'm currently an assistant professor in human development and family studies at Penn State. And so today I'll be talking a little bit about child sleep, the family context, and the transition to schooling. I'll be focusing today specifically on the sleep of preschool age children who are often not necessarily understudied, but kind of forgotten sometimes in between the infancy period and then the school age period. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this today. And guidelines concerning sleep for children ages 3 to 5 is still recommended to be 10 to 13 hours of sleep across the 24-hour period. And this may include daytime naps as well. However, it's important to know that many children may no longer take daytime naps. My children are under this age and they also already resist taking naps. So certainly by the time kids get to preschool age, those can be phased out more often than not. But sleep continues to remain really important. Sleep during these early years is necessary for healthy daytime functioning and development, particularly as children enter more structured environments and have more structured routines, such as going to preschool. And the studies have found both sleep quality and quantity to be modestly associated with improved cognitive and behavioral outcomes in this age group, making it particularly salient to examine. And the transition to schooling is an important milestone for the lives of children and their families. Structured and more formal school settings often begin around age 3 to 4 for many children in the United States and across parts of the world. In the context of the United States, preschool is not standard or universal, and so this could vary significantly by region. But regardless, changes in routines are pretty normative during this transition period. Children and their families experience changes in the routine during the daytime as well as at nighttime. And oftentimes, there are necessary changes to schedules that have to happen across the family structure. For example, unlike daycare settings where children may be prior to preschool, preschools often have a set start time that might be similar to kindergarten and elementary schools. So this may require children to go to sleep earlier, wake up earlier, and these changes can disrupt the whole family system as well. So in order to get children to the school on time, so it's really important to consider this particular period where families are first moving into this change in routine. And the transition to schooling often represents the bridge between the developmental context of family life to school context for most of these children as well. So really an important formative period of time for children. And though the audience may be familiar with the importance of sleep for well-being, I do want to highlight some key linkages between sleep and optimal development for children. Sleep quantity, quality, and other dimensions like variability have been associated with with improved outcomes. However, poor sleep quality and short sleep duration are associated with worse emotional self-regulation, and greater variability in sleep duration, as well as greater night awakening, seem to be associated with greater socio-emotional problems, such as higher internalizing problems and externalizing difficulties. And greater night awakenings have been found to be associated with attention difficulties as well. So really highlighting that children's regulation, their cognitive abilities and social development are critical and that sleep plays a role in having children develop optimally, especially during this preschool adjustment period. The developmental ecological model of sleep is an important context to consider here. Sleep is influenced by multiple levels of children's environment. This includes social context, their immediate context of their family, as well as individual child characteristics. But family level processes that are more proximal to the child really may exert an influence on sleep. And in the context of such transitions, such as the transition to preschool, family chaos and the family environment may be an important one to take into account. So some of the key research questions that will be examined here are that I was interested in looking at are are there changes that happen in sleep parameters from before children start preschool to after? And does family chaos in particular predict some of these changes in sleep during this transition period? And so families that were included in the study were recruited through email outreach via the Nanit user database, making this a fantastic way to reach a large selection of families across the United States. And surveys were sent to registered users to assess transition to schooling, family chaos, as well as parent and child sleep. So 445 families provided survey data, and families were asked to indicate when their child made the transition to preschool and to answers retrospectively about child sleep before and family chaos prior to that transition, and then to answer questions about what was happening at that time. Additionally, audio-video sonography data was available for 106 of those families. And so the analytic sample that I'll be talking about today included those who had sleep and survey data. So this was 106 families. So sleep data was linked to both periods of time, the period before the children made the transition to preschool as well as afterwards. And just to discuss some of the characteristics of these participants, about 59% of them were boys, and they were just under the age of 4 on average. Family income was relatively high, as can possibly be expected in the United States. In some places, about 75% and greater made about $150,000 or more. And then most families were located in suburban areas throughout the United States. 88.6% of the respondents were primarily mothers in this case, and 98% indicated that they were two-parent households, and approximately 79% identified as white. A number of sleep measures were examined that were derived from the Nanit cameras, including total sleep time, sleep efficiency, wake episodes, as well as bedtime and wake time. And because the interest was in changes in sleep across this transition from preschool to after, variables were aggregated across available nights of sleep data. So T1 would be the pre-K start, and T2 being after pre-K had started for these children, with approximately 14 to 15 nights of sleep that was available. Family chaos was assessed via survey using the well-validated confusion hubbub and order scale. These items were rated on a 4-point scale where higher scores indicated more chaos. So just to get into the analytic plan, latent change scores were going to be used to examine change across T1 to T2, and conditional models would examine change in chaos from T1 to T2 as predictors of change in sleep parameters. Some interesting differences that started to emerge included differences in bedtime at T1 based on child. Girls seem to go to sleep earlier than boys, going to sleep at 8:09 p.m. instead of 8:30, whereas boys went to bed at 8:36 p.m. And missing data was handled using full information maximum likelihood and M+. So just want to walk everyone through sort of what the findings are showing. Currently, there's no statistical difference in chaos or many of the sleep parameters from before kindergarten to after. However, there was a significant difference in bedtime, where bedtime was a little bit earlier after kids started pre-K instead of prior to, but there was variability in change across all parameters: chaos, total sleep, sleep efficiency, wake episodes, and scheduling in bedtime and wake time. So letting us continue on to look at chaos as a potential predictor. And all of these models controlled for child age, child sex, and family income. Unfortunately, there were no significant associations, or there were no significant associations between covariates and change in sleep, and there were limited effects where change in chaos over time was associated with change in sleep quality over time, indicating that greater chaos was associated with with increases in sleep efficiency. And just wanted to discuss some of these findings. So the transition to schooling is known to impact child and family well-being. Changes in sleep duration and quality indices did not indicate any significant average change, but there was variability in these parameters. And we saw some shifts in the scheduling of sleep, but only for bedtime, with a shift to 5 minutes earlier. And this transition to schooling is associated with perturbations in the family system. Descriptively, families did report greater levels of chaos after children had started preschool compared to before. And those increases in chaos across the transition were associated with sleep quality. The direction of effects was unexpected, but even when we controlled for total sleep time, this effect continued to remain, just reduced in significance. It's just to speculate, it may be possible that in these chaotic households, children may adapt by falling asleep a little bit more quickly and making the most of their sleep period by having this efficient sleep. But this is certainly a speculation that would need to be replicated and looked at a little bit further. Just some future directions and some limitations. Certainly, generalizability across all preschool age kids is not possible. The sample is predominantly white and middle to upper middle class families that were residing in suburban areas. So it may not be the same for families that are living in more urban areas or maybe more racially and socioeconomically diverse. But in terms of future directions, there's so much more to investigate. These are preliminary analyses. Just to get started on looking at what may be happening at this transition point in terms of changes in the family context, as well as children's sleep. Other family characteristics and child characteristics may be potential moderators. Future directions include looking at some of these things like children's internalizing and externalizing difficulties as a potential moderator. In addition, sleep was aggregated across these periods in order to examine change, but daily sleep parameters will be examined just as a preview. There are some early analyses that have been done that suggest that family context, such as income to needs ratio and child characteristics like internalizing, do predict children's sleep after they've started school. So hopefully I'll be able to present those as time goes on in future conferences. So be on the lookout for that. But I'm just happy to be able to, I just want to thank Nanit and everybody for letting me look into this question and to help gather all this data. And many thanks to the families who participated. This has been a great experience being able to use such a large database to examine some of these questions. So thank you.
Thank you, Ekjot. I really, really enjoyed your presentation.